Welcome. This is a Flash tutorial. It is not going to be a coding tutorial, but rather a basics on how to. You'll be able to find this and any other related tutorials at Develop PHP. You'll also be able to get resources and help there. For the beginner out there, Flash is a great program that you can do many things in. Most of the functions you can do will come in the drop-down menus and so on. You can have animations and everything playing there. You have your timeline, and in the timeline you can have multiple layers. You can have single frame, or you can have as many frames as you want to take into your account of your animation. Because Flash is also a programmatic language, you need to have the basics for code. Not everything requires coding, but with Flash you must have at least a basic knowledge of the basic fundamentals. The most basic of codes are these. First off, you have your stop action. Your stop action will stop the animation playing in any given timeline. You have your event listeners, namely, for example, a button, and you have your function that runs when that button is clicked. The first function that I have here is a go to and stop function, meaning it will go to and stop at the selected item, in this case frame 2. The second function with its own button is a go to and play function. Go to and play is just what it says. It will go to that location, namely frame 2 in this case, and then play the animation from that frame. When setting up a new scene or any timeline, I recommend that you separate one layer, lock it, and create an actions layer. You can name it actions, AS3, or whatever you want to call it, but for this case I'll just put AS for action script. You open up your panel. You can either do this, for example, by going onto the frame you want, in Windows, right-clicking and selecting action. You can go to Windows, yes, you can go to Window and Actions, or as it shows here with the shortcut key, F9. Once you have it open, the first thing you need to do is give it a stop action. Now this will stop any animation from playing in your timeline. You'll also notice that there's a little A inside of the window, so you know that it's an action layer. And the reason why we lock it is so we don't accidentally put other content onto it, so it keeps it separated. Let's say we have a timeline such as this with content. When you first go onto the timeline, it will stop at frame 1 because frame 1 has got the stop action on it. But let's say you want to have your animation play and then stop. Or simply, you take your stop action there, you can either comment out or delete, which means it will not work. In this case, if I click play, it will do a demo of it. Or you go test movie. As we've got nothing on stage, you won't be seeing anything happen. But basically it will play from frame 1 all the way up to the end of your animation and stop there. If you're wishing your animation to repeat continuously, Simple, don't put a stop action. All your other content will be in your layers below your ActionScript layer. Depending on the size of your project, you're going to have to organize everything accordingly. If it's not organized in the right way, it will not function correctly and make life difficult. What do I mean by this? I mean by the structure, the root of it. Think of each of these squares as a page. You have your root page or home page or starting position in a program. And you have each subsequent page that you navigate to. In this case, it's a very simple one. You start here and click a button and you go to this one. Or you go to this one, or this one. The standard one navigates to each of these. And then each of these in turn will navigate back to the original. If your site requires slightly different navigation, you could have something like this. A starting window going to a navigation window which can navigate to any of the other windows. If you have a larger or more complex item, you'll be looking at something like this. The reason why I'm showing you this is because you need to organize and plan ahead what you're going to be having, where, and how you're going to get to it. If you don't have it in the right place, navigation can be difficult. Another thing that you need to plan ahead is the actual layout of your site. How it's going to look visually. This, as well as the way it is structured, will dictate how you can work through your site, how it navigates, and ease of use. Another thing you need to take into account, because with Flash you'll have multiple levels, multiple timelines and folders, you have to take into account that all the folders are not on the same level. And you have to design them accordingly. As in this animatic, you'll see certain items are better above than others. As in this, we have our header, which is at the top for obvious reasons. You want to keep that above everything, so you place that in a timeline that is above others. Then digging down, you've got a possible menu bar, you've got a navigation area here, main window, and then optional content. This is not an exact layout that you'd use. You'd use it, you change it and use what you require. When doing a site like that, you need to take something else into consideration as well. As you can see here, I've got menus popping out, and you can see the first menu that came out of this window section is no longer visible because it is under this one, and these drop down windows are visually there because they are above the other one. So this you need to take into account when having anything that's moving or needs to be visible or pop out or roll out, etc. If I play again and pause there, you can see here we have a menu that's come out, but you cannot see it because you have this window that is above it. You have to take these sort of things into consideration when designing your site, because layers sit on top of each other. Sometimes it is beneficial to have a layer, other times it is not. That you'll have to look and see as you're building your site. I'll see you in part 2.